Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 7 of the V8 Veterans Split 3, coming to you tonight from the one and only Homestead Motor Speedway in Miami, where we're going to be running the Course B circuit. It's a great little track, this one. We start on the start-finish line on the oval, and then we deviate through turn 1, down into turn 2, into turn 3 and 4 and 5 combination. Very, very interesting one to switch back through. We then run through turn 6 into 7 or down the long back straightaway into turn 8. Plenty of action happens down in there. And then into turn 9, we come back out onto the oval where we go through what is known as turns 3 and 4, but on this track tonight is turns 9 and 10. So some interesting lines and interesting work for the V8 car through the banked oval there. So it's a fairly short track. We're up for a lot of laps this evening, and just me in here at the moment, and of course a few people out in the chat as well. So jump in, say good day, get the conversation going. We might get in quite early on this one and have a very quick look at the grid that we have. And of course we have Mr. Ed Fox on pole with a 1:14.384, an absolutely sensational time from Ed. Matt Stoyles from EWR GMK Logistics sitting in second, with Brendan Zatera in third from player 1. Great result there for Brendan. How are you, Bruce? And Bruce McLeod's just jumped in and joined me as well. And next to Brendan Zatera, we've got Wayne Shepherd in fourth from Simrigs Infinity Motorsports. Jamie Peters from Simrigs Infinity Motorsports in fifth, alongside Jeremy Bush. Mick Clifton from Accelerate Sim Racing in seventh, alongside Synergy Sim Racing's Pete Kelleher in eighth in the pink rocket. Darren Friend from Old Mates and Sons gets himself in the top 10 in quali again, sitting in at ninth. Jeff Sanford from Player 1 in 10th. Jason Chin from Fishy Motorsports in 11th, alongside our very own Bruce McLeod from Shadow Racing in 12th. And over the page, Adrian Zeal from AJR Racing alongside teammate Rob Visor from AJR Racing. Andrew Galley from DAG Motorsports in 15th. Joseph Granshaw in 16th. Sean Slater 17th alongside Old Mates and Sons Shane Patterson. Dave Galley in 19th alongside my favourite Dutchman Greg Sholton from Player 1 Sim Racing. Myself in 21st. Carl Pickering from Passion Sim Racing in 22nd. Andrew Johnson from AJR Racing in 23rd. Neil Waters from Player 1 in 24th. And, of course, another big field, Phil Marsh over the page alongside Mike Korolev. Matt Beale in 27th, and then Di Feldman from iDrive Sim Training in... Hang on, there's a lot of feedback, Bruce. We'll turn that down for a minute. No, you're right. iDrive Sim Racing in 28th. 29th is Tim Vermey from WKMP alongside Dave Baldock from Dave 37R Racing. Craig Rose in 31st from Pecky Performance Racing. Greg Favell was our race control. Mike Yo didn't set a time after absolutely smashing the timing board in practice. Nick Hasler didn't set a time as well. Mark Dial is our safety car, and Anthony Weisner rounds out the team doing race control. And let's just see.
John.
Hey, Bruce, how are you? Got Hamish in with us as well. How are you, Hamish?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Split 3 action. I've been waiting for the opportunity to come into the kitchen, I'm going to be honest, all season. But it looks like this could be a really interesting race, especially from what I heard from my drivers, that we could be in for some great action. So I look forward to seeing it.
So, boys, we have to stop catch up like this. John, we caught up on Saturday, and Hamish, we caught up last night, and here we are all again.
I know, right? It's all come together.
Yep, definitely has. And what we might do, boys, we might light the wick on this one and get it started. What do you think?
That sounds good. You mentioned about Mike Yo not getting a quality lap in. His power died on his force feedback, so he lost all steerage feedback during quali. So that's what happened to him, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And big shout out to those in the chat too. We've got Jason Chin, Sean Slater, and Steve Murray out there as well. Anyway, we will light the wick on this one. And of course, Ed Fox on pole. Let's have a look and see what happens. And we are away. Looks like a good jump. Brendan Zatera getting a really good start, moving to the outside. And we're going to have one and 2 player 1 cars. We know what that means. Leading the first corner, all getting through safely, and Wayne Shepherd, Matt Stoyle tucking in behind with Jamie Peters. So great little start here from the crew. All getting it going. A little bit further back, you see Darren Friends moved up 1 spot. Pete Kelleher is sitting in 9th. So these boys definitely starting to get some movement happening.
Hey, what, across all 3 splits all season, you get to this point in the season and you start to have your regular players often on display up the front. I mean, we saw it last night on Split 2 as well. You know, Hockey and everyone else around him who've been the mainstay, basically, at the front of the field for Split 2. Front of the field for Split 3 this season. All those boys still together. Shepherd, Zatira, Fox. Even though you're not quite up there yet, John, in terms of the on-track position, you are up there in terms of the championship. That's a big recto for Peter Kelleher off the exit of turn 8. We saw massive action happen there last time.
Yeah, a little bit, very bad luck.
Yeah, he lost the rear and then came back on and lost the rear again. So bad luck for Peter. No one wants, not like this. No one wants to do that like that.
No, not like that. Is lap 1, Ed Fox holding off Zatira and Shepherd.
So Ed's been definitely one of the pace setters all season. Him and Mike have got a bit of a rivalry going, definitely in the practice sessions, trying to knock each other off. At this point, Mike had also jumped the start, so to add further insult to his injury of starting down the back, he also had to do a drive-through.
Oh no, that's a bit rough.
Shebo putting some massive pressure on the back of Zatira right now. I know, speaking to him all season long, Shebo has been very happy with the way Zatira has been driving around him. Of course, I can't really speak for Shebo too much, but I know that he's happy with how Zatira drives around him, as well as Ed Fox as well. So he's really enjoying this championship, and he's going to enjoy fighting for this championship all the way until the final round, I reckon.
Yeah, Wayne will definitely be there. He's sort of becoming Mr. Consistency, I think, this season. He's definitely always up there. Maybe not in the top spot, but he's definitely right up the pointy end.
Definitely has been, and showing a lot of consistency with his lap times. I think he's had a couple of bad races. I think Silverstone cost him a little bit. It's still a long way to go.
You had a look there, thought better of it.
Yeah.
Who's this guy?
Who is this?
Yeah, you don't want to see this. A little bit of grass there.
Whoa.
And a little bit of help from my friends behind me.
John, you're not doing yourself any favours.
No, he's giving a textbook lesson on brake holding.
Yeah. He is, yeah. He's doing what myself and Split 1 broadcasters can't do, and give a first-hand display of what to do when you do have an incident, which is good to see. Oh, Jamie's had an incident in behind, though. He's fallen down massively down the order in behind.
Yeah. He's rolling backwards a little bit.
That mistake you made, John, it's so easy to do.
It is.
It's really easy. And I had a front row seat to this. At the time.
I'm sure that was fantastic viewing for you there, Bruce. I mean,
it brings a smile to your face.
It does. But although you would have been smiling even more if they took each other out and you just got the free position.
Just keep watching. I'm not giving any spoilers away, but.
Tell you what, Jamie has really improved since joining the team midway through last season. I'm incredibly proud as a team owner of what he has achieved. And I think this is kind of a point to all privateers out there. If someone does offer you to join their team, really do think about it, because you can actually find improvement just by having the comparison to other drivers around you and actually having a goal to set to. And I know that having Wayne in there with him has been really helping him push to get further and further up the grid and to be as consistent as Wayne has this season.
So can you stop, Hamish? Stop making my life harder. No, of course I'm joking. It's always great to see, and I think echo what you were saying on your broadcast. Definitely, most teams are more than happy to have you come in. They're not trying to be exclusive, so just find some people that you gel with, and definitely they'll probably invite you in.
It definitely does not hurt. And you see Brendan Zatira here sitting in second under a fair bit of pressure from Shepherd. You can already see some of these different lines being used on the oval and on the banking.
Yeah, definitely I know for me personally, I was definitely playing a conservation game, definitely lifting early, getting the rotation done, and I'm lucky with my haptics. I can make sure I'm not doing any
Oh no, Brendan!
slip angle. That was so easy to do, as you proved, John. Right, a little bit too hot, and you can't just stop harder because you just lock it up. So it's just, but luckily it was a easy off 1x come back on mostly.
That
Yes,
was very lucky that he didn't collect Stoyles in behind him there as well. That was very good driving from him to control that car.
Yeah, definitely a few guys starting to move through the field. Marty Hughes is up 18 spots in the 21st, so he's had a good start here.
Andrew Johnson's also having a cracker season just in front of him there. Like, Andrew's kept becoming more and more consistent.
Yes, Andrew definitely does it the hard way as well, racing at the back end of the time slot. Of course, it would be roughly about midnight over in New Zealand when he running this race at the moment.
And also bringing some friends into his team, I think would have helped him out. Someone's having a look down the inside, thinks better of it.
I'll be very interested to see how Andrew improves now that he's got the likes of Adrian Zeal in his team with him. Obviously, as I mentioned, with Jamie and Wayne having someone to kind of strive for, this is going to give someone to compare to for Andrew at a personal level, and they'll hopefully be able to work together to make their way up the grid in seasons to come.
Oh yeah, and Rob Visor's not slow either, so as Slater here, he's trying to get onto the back of Andrew Galley.
Slater's had one of those, he has sometimes some real hit or miss seasons where he'll have some really good performances and then he'll struggle at some tracks. I think when he's able to, I speak a lot about 100% drivers being where they're able to be consistent all over the place as he goes off track. Bit of commentator's curse there for him, but I think when he can actually string a really, really good season together, it doesn't necessarily have to get podiums and wins, but just consistency, you'll find that he will be one of those dark horses to get into that top 3 in the championship and make his way up to Split 2.
Oh, look, Sean definitely has the talent. Just needs to string it all together. And it's probably, I think, a factor of time to sit in the rig and do what he needs to do in terms of getting that little bit of practice. As you can sort of see from this tonight, that it's probably the first couple of laps he's done at this place.
Looks like a nice move down the inside.
Yeah, Jamie getting the job done.
Line very well as well. Mick held that line very good there. See a car go off in the background, but I can already tell from watching Split 3 the last couple of seasons, the racecraft is actually getting a whole lot better for Split 3, and it's so good to see because it means people are improving and it is making it. And obviously, John, you've spoken about in the past keeping the fun in vets, but even with the competitiveness rising in Split 3, it still seems like it is a good time for all the drivers, and no matter where they are on track, they just want to have a good race and a clean race as well.
Oh, Dave Baldock.
Dave Baldock's winning the competition, but is he? He still is. He still is.
Oh, tough one for Dave. The same thing again, another guy that doesn't have the time. He's literally learning the track on Thursday night in practice.
So now it's really on with you two nose to tail. I love a good rivalry.
How did you both find Homestead? I mean, this is a circuit that I absolutely love, and I know it was a little bit diversive in the actual Discord. But how did you both find this track and learning this track and getting prepared for this round?
Oh, look, getting prepared was a little bit hard. It was a track I had to learn. So I got a few laps in on Wednesday night. Not a hell of a lot, probably about half an hour, 45 minutes. Probably not enough to learn it well. So that kind of made it a bit more difficult moving forward. But once we got into the race, it was, I was sort of caught up in a few things early, and after that, the race settled down and I managed to work my way through a little bit.
So for me, this was a track where I know that I wasn't going to be super fast, so I was just really focusing on consistent race pace. So I was, once I got comfortable that I knew I could hit it,
it's Mick down at turn 8. Going to the outside, unusual spot.
Yep. So once I knew sort of what my pace was going to be, sort of high 15s is what I was expecting, low 16s as a race pace. So obviously you want to go faster, but that's what I was sort of expecting. And once I could do that consistently, that was fine. I don't try not to fall down to the trap of hot lapping. And it means my quality performance probably isn't where it needs to be. But, I think the sort of positions that I'm racing in split 3 around the, from P6 to P12, where I generally end up, that's sort of where my pace is in the split, I think. So.
I think taking advantage of your pace as well as getting that consistency, as we mentioned, the guys who normally do well in vets are the ones who are consistent. The ones who can make their way into a top 5 in the championship. They're the ones that you find will finish within the top 15, even the top 5 the majority of the time in the series. They may not necessarily have, one lap pace, but they're consistent in a race and they've got that good racecraft. And it is great to see how much more consistent a lot of the drivers are actually getting this season, especially across all 3 splits. And it's making for some phenomenal viewing in terms of racing between these drivers.
I think the challenge, I think you're exactly right, Hamish, but the challenge is with the lap time so tight, particularly at a track like this, it was probably 2 seconds from the top of split 1 to sort of, almost halfway through split 3. That qualifying laps just makes a big advantage, but I agree with you completely.
Yeah, of course. The other thing too is what you're saying as well, Hamish, is I think the 2 compulsory pit stops has changed the pit strategy focus on it as well. So if you do get in trouble, you've got that ability to roll the dice, try something a bit different and see if it works. Like I think
that pit strategy is becoming incredibly important in winning people races. The pit strategy of people coming in under safety car last night was imperative for Troy Sipple to win that race, because the people who were fighting within that top 10 didn't come in under that safety car, and that's what cost them the win. So knowing that you can get home from a certain point gives you not necessarily a big advantage over the rest of the field, because you would assume the majority of the field would learn that, but it actually gives you an advantage over yourself and over your own mentality in knowing when to come in and when is the best advantage point to come in to get the best run home.
I think the other challenge around split 3 in particular is that the cleaner the racing is getting, the less you can rely on a safety car. Like at Long Beach, for example, you could guarantee there'll be 2 safety cars, and you could plan on it because statistically there always is one. Same with tracks like Imola. But a track like Homestead, are we going to get one? Are we not? There's a lot of runoff. So you can't factor it in as a way to keep you on the pace. You've got to assume it is going to run green flag to flag and plan accordingly now.
That's exactly right. Like, you go that long, fill it all up and go deep, and then you're kind of just rolling that dice, hoping there is one and everyone else is caught out by it. But you can take that risk, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
I think we're going to see it improve over seasons to come, as well as people get more used to this new strategy play that is now going to become the meta in terms of how to do well, being those 2 compulsory stops. So the more people learn them, and by the time we may even see it as soon as halfway through season 18 into the start of season 19, where people are really used to it and it is the norm, and they know exactly what they need to do at an exact point in the race to, again, get that advantage and make it work for them the best that they can.
Absolutely.
I think the only thing we need to watch is when everyone make sure that everyone doesn't get dialed in and everyone's doing. They discover the optimal strategy, which probably at the moment would tend to be 2 shorter fills, equally spaced out, and minimise your tyres. As long as it doesn't become everyone's following that exact same strategy on the same lap, I think you're exactly right. But if it becomes, everyone just optimizes the same strategy and you have to follow that strategy to win, then I think we need to look at, how do we tweak it? But for now, I think it's just working great.
Yeah, but I think the other thing with that, Bruce, too, is you've got the strategy for the guys playing in that top 10, and then for somebody a little bit further back can roll the dice. You can even go a very short stop, knowing what you get home is, particularly on a circuit where you haven't got a lot of tyre deg, Oh, Hughesy.
Yeah, that was a bit ambitious.
Yeah, poor old Neil caught up in that one as well. And
nice little 360 around him. But what's this?
Yeah, nice redress from Marty there as well.
Is this Ken Block? Is this the after the late great Ken Block? Is this Hoonigan?
Bit of Jim Carner out of Homestead. No, it was good. How are you, Mark?
Hey, Mark. Yeah, so good to see a redress there.
Unfortunately, we can't do it with the fixed setups, but it would also be good to have the option of potentially having open starting fuel as well. I know it's something we can't do it because it's just iRacing things, but that would be interesting, right? If you could also choose.
Oh, hang on to that.
Yeah, Grenshaw there. I mean, he must have heard the word Jim Carner and thought I'm going to go for some rallycross action across the grass there, but well saved. And Koroloff was lucky not to get taken out on that one. So, but still good hard racing at the moment.
Yeah, he's doing quite well, Mike. He would have had a busy week as well with getting organised with Scops and everything else. So it didn't get the time he needed, I think, to get the practice in. But he's plugging away. He's up 12 spots here.
Yeah, I think it may not be too long until we see Michael make his way up the standings and up towards Split 2. I mean, I think possibly by this time next year he could be a proper fixture as a part of Split 2. It's just going to be dependent on how well he can do across the next 2 seasons at the start of 2024.
Well, ironically, as one of the main men standing behind OSR, he's been given the official OSR Dev "Please don't come back" letter, so he can drive. We know that. Marty Hughes, he's still back on it with Neil Waters. As we start lap 14.
So I see at the very bottom of the table there, Mike's caught you up at this point, John. So coming back from that start at the back with the drive-through.
Yeah.
He's definitely cutting his way through, trying to get back into it.
Yeah, I was definitely watching him close that gap down, knowing that he had the pace.
The vet's got
I noticed Marty's decided to go around the outside that time to limit the possibility of a spin from Neil.
That's a nice move if you can do it.
Where's Rob Visor? Lost him. Okay, Rob Visor having a great little race here against Lucas Burt in the Chubby Buns livery from Old Mates and Sons.
I still think every one of the AJR cars is AJ.
I know.
The same could be said though about the WKMP cars. Very when I kept on seeing those super cheap liveries running around this season, I'm like, I have to double check who that is just so I don't mistake their name, especially when it's when I know there are 2 drivers out there who run the same car.
2 different colours though.
Yeah.
Like Mick Power's very yellow. Then we've got the black livery and then the red livery. So I try and mix it up a little bit to make it easy for you, Hamish.
Oh, I appreciate it.
A bit of a bang. Visor and Lucas here toe to toe.
You're not allowed to scratch the AJR paint. Didn't he get that memo?
No, obviously not. Here comes Pete Kelleher in the background there.
No. Chrome paint's very expensive.
Yep.
Oh, no. Both of them.
Oh.
That's like the TCRs on Saturday night. Sorry, on Friday night. Going into turn 2 at Sydney Motorsport Park in the rain. Go follow the leader. And Bruce.
Now dragged Mick Clifton back into that battle as well, which is good to see.
Oh, this guy.
This guy under a bit of pressure from a fish behind him.
Yeah, we had a good battle with Jason. He had a little bit of a moment which allowed me to get past, and the pressure was on. We were at this for a few laps. obviously different strengths and weaknesses. So I think I noticed here, and also in a turn one. In a turn one, he used to catch me like it's crazy, but I'd make the time back on the infield. So yeah, it's interesting that normally with a fixed setup, most drivers are very similar pace around the track, but we were definitely faster around different parts of the circuit here, because I was definitely taking it easy through here, lifting, turning in early, staying down low, letting it come wide. And if you watch here under brakes, if Ginny does what I think he's going to do, he'll come right up behind me under brakes. There he goes. Gets right in behind me. I have a little bit of a moment there, and then I carry more exit speed.
Yeah, getting away him.
Yeah, and then away I go, open up to about half second, 6/10, and then he'll catch me back up again next time around. So we do this for a few laps. It's always good to have a fun, clean battle.
It's good to see the yeah, your line does look pretty good there, Bruce. It's good to see actually the comparisons. You know, obviously where you might have a bit more, you might have your strengths compared to Jason's strengths in certain sections of track. But it's good to see when those two can kind of come together, and then you're actually as strong as each other around the track in terms of percentage-wise. But it just might be that he outweighs you in one section and you outweigh him in the other section. But can lead to some absolutely phenomenal battles on track and some great viewing as well.
Yeah, and the mistake I wasn't going to do is I wasn't going to try and adjust how I drove just because I knew I was weaker at a certain point. So there, see me there going on really early, getting it stable, coming in tight off the brakes, back in tight again, whereas he's just carrying the speed all the way in. So I knew that was happening, and I could have gone and tried to adjust my braking, but no, not when you're in the race. That's it. Your pace is your pace, and I'll just do what I do and see where I end up. There's a bit of an off in front.
Answer your question, Pete Keller here. I was running 53.5. That was my brake bias.
Yeah, I was about 52. I know some others were right up front. I think I tried that, but I went back a bit to around the 52 and a half mark, I think, where I was running.
Good little battle going on back here in front of me. Mike's managed to get himself up 9 spots now.
Yep.
It's good to see. I mean, obviously you guys are just trying to stay as clean as possible to get into that first pit stop period, of course, coming up in a couple of laps' time. So you see Mike go for another position up the inside of Philip Marsh, gets it done, and now slots in right behind Di Feldman. Let's see if he looks to want to have a run here down towards the hairpin, but he's not going to have the inside line, so I'd hope he's going to back out of this, although she just lets him go. It's very interesting.
So I think Di's a smart cookie when it comes to around the track. I think she sort of definitely recognises when someone's out of place and moving forward. And she's definitely, I know she's always shown me a ton of respect when I'm coming back through, which I think is really smart driving to let the faster driver through and try and follow them through when you know they're out of position.
It was interesting. I remember speaking to some of the drivers about their strategies coming around the bold section and the two last corners of the track of what was the most optimal way to cut off that understeer, and that's a big incident though with Marsh. Oh, you're involved as well, John.
Yeah. Way to go on that one.
No. That was a big incident right there.
Back up front, Jeremy Bush.
That was a very hard one to adjudicate on that one. We went over that for quite a while, trying to determine who was at fault.
I think it was a bit of a, it's your corner, no, it's looking from where I sat behind it. It was like your corner, no, it's your corner. No, it's your corner. And by the time they all got in there, it was at the speeds you're going into turn one. It was just
no
like
one's corner.
No one's corner, yeah.
Yeah. I think Di was reacting to a car that was a little slower or had given way to somebody. And that put her offline, and then that put Marshy in a spot where he could sneak up the inside. And so, yeah. We went over that for ages.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been an easy one.
So Jeremy's not slow.
He's not, and he's done very well this season. He really struggled the last couple seasons in Split 2 with his racecraft, but this season he's really upped his game and appears to be trying to be more consistent. And I think being in Split 3 has actually helped him a lot because he is actually driving around people who are just that little bit closer to his pace than when he was in Split 2 as Zatira comes in. First one to jump into the pits out of the top 10, lap 21 of 71 here. But I'll be interested to see where Jeremy might line up after the season or after pre-qualifying, whether he stays in Split 3 or he comes back up to Split 2. I actually think he'd probably be better off staying in Split 3 for another season just to, again, get more experience around drivers who are at a roughly similar pace and just help him naturally get that ability back up before he has a crack at Split 2 again.
So, John, looks like you jumped in again. Was this a fuel regular stop or was it a result of that damage from that crash?
It was just damage. I just thought I got damaged. I'll just get it out of the way.
Yep.
So I just went in, filled it up to the top. Just was going to work on the theory of just going as long as I could to see if a safety car came out.
So you went the full 110?
Yep.
Interesting.
Actually found it drove quite well off the corners as well with the weight on the wheels.
Yeah, no, I definitely did some practice with the full tank and felt the car. This is a great setup from Jamie. I think I'd only like this week's one even better. Full of races, but this is a really good set. Definitely worked on low fuel and high fuel. And I think having it understeer through the bowl as opposed to oversteer was definitely the right setup choice to make for vets.
Yeah.
So definitely let you try those options, right? The only concern going through my head was tyres, and not that you wouldn't get around with tyres, but tyres with pace and how hard you want to be able to push.
Yeah, I said I was playing the look after the tyres, see how far I could go, and if a safety car rolled out, knowing I could duck in, top up. And then once we sort of got to that stage of second stops, everyone's had that second stop, so I'm perfectly set to duck in if it came.
A bit of a wobble there.
But I did have a good talk to Jamie yesterday about setups when I caught up with him, and yeah, he's definitely working quite hard on them, and he's had a really good discussion on doing sets across for everything. You know, like he's doing stuff that he knows is not going to suit some of the Split 1 guys because he's trying to have something that's balanced for everybody. The limitation of racing on a 18-degree track that he needs, so like going to something like dynamic weather and dynamic track temperatures just makes it almost impossible to have a balanced car. So there was a few topics like that we had a good talk about. Not ruling out not doing something like that, but we could still some stage have something that is dynamic.
So I know we talked about it on Saturday, and I think in my mind it's Jamie gets he gets like a 99% of the vote when it comes to that because of the work he has to put in. And if he needs a fixed track temp to do a setup, then great. It'd be nice to potentially have that temperature change, but again, Jamie's comes first, basically.
He's a busy man, running West End Motor Group. Of course, Too Easy Finance, Parramatta Mazda, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Parramatta Peugeot Professionals, Parramatta City of Vale and Great Wall Motors, Blacktown Mazda, Blacktown City of Vale and Great Wall Motors. So if you are in that Church Street area in Parramatta or out in Blacktown looking for a motor vehicle, go have a look on the lot and see if you can find the Gunter was here sticker, because apparently the team at West End Motor Group haven't found them from my last visit.
Or even if you live in Albury Wodonga.
Yes, Faz went up.
Faz went up, and he's raving about it, to be honest. We haven't heard anything else but him singing the praise of that Jamie's team and the car since he got it. So.
And of course, there may or may not be, I cannot confirm or deny, there may or may not be a Gunter was here sticker at Chubby Buns in Lidcombe as well, so.
You guys are basically just graffiti artists at this point. You're just leaving your tag everywhere you go.
Yeah. Oh, bit of a tap.
Speaking of tagging.
Nice segue.
Yes, I know I was asked what car I drive on the weekend. I forgot somehow.
The car park was just too far away from the clubhouse.
Yeah, it was. Otherwise, I would let you go for it, to be honest. So look at Wayne Shepherd out to almost a 9-second lead now over Jeremy. So the boys at the front are just getting the job done. Oh, here we go. Is it player one on player one? Is this what we came here to see?
We did speak about on the podcast the player one cars coming together. Yeah, us wanting to see that more often, but they're not giving our wish, or they're not saying our wish is thy command or whatever. But
no, they're not. I think this was feels like it was a season 16 thing.
We still see a little bit of it. Do go back and watch a few of the season 16 broadcasts.
But not in season 16 split 3. I think it was every race that happened. I think it was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when.
Well, Pato,
such bad luck with it.
That's Pato just letting him past. A few boys diving into the pits now. Sheppy and Bush.
Yep.
Are in there.
So we worked out this week. I believe it was you need about 129 litres on a 2.9 lap, a litre per lap fuel burn. That ended up changing slightly in the race because at race pace, the drivers were actually using slightly less, but it was still, it was literally like give or take a lap or two in terms of what to add. So be interesting to see what some of the strategies are. Obviously, you said, John, that you filled the car up to the brim pretty much, and be interesting to see if some others do the same or if they actually put a little bit less in and just hope for a safety car within the next few laps.
So I know for me, I was planning about the last stint. I wanted to have a nice light car with fresh tyres with 10 laps to go. So I sort of started with that and worked backwards from there in regards to my strategy.
Of course, he's answering a couple of questions in the chat. We've got a question back from Jeff Sanford saying we are overly conscious of not coming together. So any truth to the rumour that when you're behind Neil, you now feel like you're Russell asking to pass Lewis? Please, can I come past? I have a quicker car.
Should drag Neil into the chat. We can grill him about it.
So a few more in the pits. We've got Frenzel, Grenshaw, Slater, Sholton, Peters, Patterson, and Hughes. So the leading driver from those stops, of course, is Ed Fox.
So Zatira's actually jumped Sheppo in that pit stop period, although he could have possibly put slightly more fuel in. Are we able to get up the pit stop numbers, John, just so we can compare?
We can do that.
Hey, Mish, you've got anything to say about Mike Korolev there?
I do. I can do that if you'd want me to. Mike, an incredible run so far, although he does need to come into the pits. But currently at the moment, he is up 22 positions. I can't do it properly at the moment because I'm actually sick, but that's as best as I can do for you. But he's done well to do that, although it'd be interesting to see where he does actually come out of the pits. Oh, that's not what I meant, John, actually. I meant on the timing tower. You can actually have there isn't a thing for pit stop time.
That's our normal play here.
We get that one. Pit time, there you go.
I also noticed we have a new leader as well.
Yeah, I just noticed that. I was about to say that.
Yeah. Bruce McLeod going for the extra point at the moment. So if we notice here, so Zatira's actually gone 5 seconds faster in the pit stop over Sheppo. So it'll be interesting now to see on the flip side of that how close Sheppo can actually get to Zatira before that second pit stop. So Zatira needs to be able to hold that gap now if he wants to have any advantage coming off that second pit stop. Otherwise, it'll all be for nothing come the end of the race. So that's what we need to keep an eye on, is that gap between them and whether it is less than or more than 5 seconds.
Definitely some of the things you got to be conscious in your mind. Like I actually run on my fourth monitor the pit stop times, so I know if I'm playing with where they are. As Bruce comes into the pits now.
So Mike Korolev still went one longer, the bugger. I'll have to work better on my fuel saving.
No, Mike's in with you.
I was going to say maybe he was going for the extra point as well, but not this time.
I think I had 0.6 of a lap left, so not enough to go around again.
I never got
There we
three
go.
play one cars in a row. What could happen here?
This is the most statistically possible time that we're going to see player one coming together at the moment.
Oh, Twitch. That Beal getting out of the way nicely there.
Oh, they're playing too nice, honestly.
They are. I'm not racing hard enough. Why can't one of them tell their teammate to dive it down the inside at turn 1 at Long Beach and they crash into the wall? Why does it have to be my team that does that?
So just looking at the pit times there, John, I'm the one that took on. Oh no, Mike took a little bit more than me. That's Sean Slater, but of the sort of the top, that top top 12 pack.
Yeah.
Looks like I took one of the longer stops.
That Styles 29.4.
I think I put 80 litres in it. Pull it back up to 80, I think.
You and Bushy both filled it up. Sean Slater obviously filled it right up. He's gone 37 seconds.
That's not the Hoff. Why is the Hoff on screen?
Huh?
Sean Slater, Jeff Stanford's photo. Is that?
Yeah. Because he ran Kit from Knight Rider in the retro round.
Of course, and Mr. Hoff has stayed there since.
Yes. This is a friendly reminder.
So meanwhile, battles resume as normal at the front.
Yeah,
Ed Fox with a 4.5 second lead.
Styles chasing down Jason Chin.
I bet at this point, those front boys are really just hoping to themselves, please no safety car, because they do not want that gap to shrink. And depending on when they've pit, they're not going to be able to get any advantage off that safety car compared to someone who may have pit a couple laps earlier than them.
So
Exactly
it's
right.
interesting. I've just noticed something here. So we've got Chinny in front of Matt Stalls here, and I noticed that Matt closed up on Chinny the same way Jason would close up on me. So that sort of reminds me, when you are following a car, it's easier to go that little bit deeper under brakes when you're following someone in as opposed to doing it yourself. So I was wondering how much the factor that plays in. Let's go have a look. It's got a better exit. No, it's about even Stevens.
See how he looks here down the inside at the bowl. That's a good run from him here.
It's a tight line though. So is Jason going to get a better exit? No, he's not.
He's now dragging Jamie in behind them as well and bringing him into the battle. So Stoyles, what he want to happen now is he'll want Jamie to start attacking Jason, so then he can just start to build that gap a little bit and get it over the slipstream difference, which I think is about 1 to 1.5 seconds around this track.
So Mark, you'd be into your third or fourth beer at this point, wouldn't you, in the safety car?
No, as I don't drink, but we were having a
Red Bull's then.
well, we'd have been Red Bull. No, but we were having a pretty good time watching Split 1.
Right. Our racing's a bit too clean if you've got time to do that.
Yep,
Oh,
way
it
too
was.
clean.
It was.
It sounds like someone needs to take something for the something for the team. There.
Don't worry, I believe we've got someone coming back next season that'll look after it for us.
Oh, interesting.
Someone who's an expert with the safety cars,
You mean creating them or driving?
bringing them out. Oh, a little bit deep there from Chinny.
Yep.
Mark, we spoke about brake bias earlier. What brake bias were you running in the safety car? Was it 0 since it didn't have to be out on track, or was it something different?
No, from memory, I think I pushed it up to about 55.
Okay, interesting.
Are you looking forward to coming back out on track season 18, Mark?
He's up in front.
Yeah, I am actually. Still got a little bit of work to do with the monitors. I'm still struggling with that. And I found that the HDMI leads are holding me up. They're too big to sit behind the frame of the rig, so I've got to get some 90-degree.
Thanks, yep.
Yeah. So once I fix that up, the seat hopefully is on its way. I haven't heard anything more about that yet, but It should be on. It should be on its way. It should be here by the end of the week.
And of course, we are rolling out season 18 entries starting this evening. We are running 3 splits based on race control numbers, etc. And what we're going to do is, starting from this evening till next Monday, we're going to only take entries from existing season 17 drivers. This league's going to be capped at 144 drivers. After that, we'll then go to the waiting list, and then we'll go to general Discord population, and then after that, we'll go out to the public. Oh no!
Oh,
Kitty.
Jamie, that looks like a little bit of net code there, but that's a shame.
Yeah, it's always a bummer when you have a move being made on a move and you don't know 2 cars over what's happening. So you probably expected Jason to go a bit wider than he did.
Yeah, so entries will be open for season 17 drivers.
I will remember what happened last time with that. John, you filled it in about 2 days, didn't you?
Yeah, pretty much. And the other thing I will say, beg, plead, borrow and steal to everybody, and that is, please read the rules. There has been numerous changes made going into this season, and the biggest change of all is there is no protest system. So basically, the race control's decision on the night is final. You've got a right to go and talk to them. They'll hang around for half an hour after the race. So if you want to discuss anything with them, you feel free to do so. But yeah, there is no protest system. We've run the protest system for 2 seasons now, and we've only ever had 1 person win a protest. So generally, when you look at all the other protests we've been through where nothing's changed, it's just a time-consuming process for Dave and the boys.
And
yeah.
It also delays the results coming out. So I think
that as well
will be good because the results will be able to come out on the night. So here I am putting Mr. Galley under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, so a few changes in the next season, but not too many. Steve, I'd get Simon Pitt to send a ticket to management asking to be put on the waiting list. That'd be a hot little tip for anybody wanting to get in there. Yeah. So yeah.
I don't recall Simon being in Split 2 in season 15.
Yeah, I think it's season 14, I think, or 13. I'd have to go back and look. Yeah. Yeah, so it's just some changes we've got happening. And the other thing too, it's only a short switch over between seasons. This time around, there's a little bit of smoke in the foreground there. And in the off season, I'm going to announce it now. I was hoping he was going to come on tonight and announce it himself. We are running a bit of a fun series. I think it's going to be $5 donation to be in it, which we'll work out the details. Look out, Bruce.
Yep.
Almost dry.
My bad.
Yeah, so we're going to run a series called Gunter's Mystery Box. So it'll be 2 races on a Thursday night in the off season. No one will know what track it is. No one will know what car it is. It'll just
be Nürburgring, let's be honest.
Oh, it may or may not be. And it'll basically be 2 sprint races, or 2 short races each night with this Gunter's mystery selection from his mystery box. So,
will those be broadcasted?
No, not unless you want to do it.
I'll do it. I've got nothing else to do on a Thursday.
Yeah, we'll talk off air. And I think we're trying to organise a little bit of race control as well. But it's just a bit of fun. Just a bit of a fun series. And the $5 will go to helping cover broadcast if we have a broadcast, or you also go to charity is what the plan is.
I can go to charity for those ones.
I think Gunter will have fixed setups for that, Pete. And I think it'll be a case of, as well, like most tracks hold 60 cars or whatever, so it'll be first 60 in that night, get in as well.
So Bruce, what are you thinking about right now on the back of Mick here? Are you thinking go for the lunge or just kind of keep the pressure on him and hope he makes a mistake?
I'm just keeping the pressure on, and I'm fuel saving, to be honest. And he made a mistake there because the car went off in front. So for me, it was again thinking about the end of the race, just trying to keep my tyres under control. Definitely taking it easy through the oval. Bit of fuel saving where I could. Making a move down the inside. Getting it done. It's just again a lot of laps, right? So we're at lap 36, so we're just over halfway at this point. So there's no point pushing super hard and burning for the tyres. I went long on fuel, so it's just trying to stretch it out.
See, Sean putting the pressure on the back of Adrian here as they come through the first couple of corners. Be interesting to see what happens. I am a little bit disappointed that the unzipped Jamie is no longer on the bonnet of Adrian's car, although I know we are getting a head on the bonnet back for season 18. But it would have been nice if that was still on there for the rest of the season. Would have been good to see.
Yes, I must admit though that Adrian was a bigger fan of Jamie Peters' calves than his head. So
we keep on telling Jamie to buy an infinity flag, so whenever he beats Adrian on track, he can fly it on a flagpole out the front of his house.
these boys are having a good battle.
Mark and I worked out it is possible to bump draft the safety car with a V8 in a straight line.
Yes, it was possible.
You're trying to say there's a bit of Days of Thunder about that, where he wants you to hit the safety car?
No, we're just having fun in practice because you come out in front of me. It's just, and obviously, supercar versus GT3. Supercar's a lot faster in a straight line. GT3's faster in the corners. Of course, it'll say friendly bumpy bump goes on where possible.
And Slater definitely all over the back here.
So what's our thought about Rovals? Do we like them? Do we not like them? Do we hate them?
I think it's dependent on what one it is.
That's a move.
I'm not the biggest fan of. Seal drifting off there. I'm not the biggest fan of like Indy, for example, as a Roval. I don't know. There's just something about it that doesn't really suit my style. I love Homestead, and I'm pretty middle of the road with like Charlotte and Daytona, but I think I prefer Daytona over Charlotte a little bit. So, but Homestead's definitely my preference.
So I definitely prefer Daytona over Charlotte as well. I think one of the considerations when thinking about it, I originally did have Daytona down with the idea of Daytona, the actual 24 hours going to be in January, so have it in the season, but not close enough that it will stuff someone actually doing that race. But at this point, we thought Gentry might be coming, so we opted for the free track as opposed to the paid track, which is why we went to Charlotte.
He's in hot.
Yep.
Lucky the Nissan model there. He slowed down.
I have to wonder if Sean's a postman because he licked the stamp and fully sent that then.
Oh, yeah.
That was a hard send. Lucky not to end up all the way out. After that, he gets the return address on the back as well and spins back around. Those tyres will be absolutely cooking at the moment.
You
can see it. Oh.
You called that one, Hamish. Oh, look. Once again, we have more Gymkhana.
Yeah, you talk about the kitchen. Well, he is cooking up an absolute storm on those rear tyres at the moment. He needs to come in now because they will be absolutely atrocious for the rest of the stint.
Very second-hand, say the least.
You can make it home from this point, though.
Yep.
Lap 33 was the critical lap on a full tank of fuel, so you can do it, and it is a full stint on tyres. So if you're able to look after them, you can make it home.
So Jason, despite having a little off track previously, is back in front of our little battle. He's driving very well. Andrew Galley also doing a great job as well. Just have a quick scan to see where Dave Galley is. Looks like he's having a great night.
Dave, back in 26. Back in 26.
So what I think is what you've done well now, Bruce, is you've actually put yourself in a positive position of the fact that you will save the extra 11 seconds in your next stop than what you took over Jason and Andrew. And being the fact that you're only 5 seconds behind Jason, you're going to have a massive lead over them when you come out of the pits if you're able to stay consistent and clean, of course, coming into that pit stop. But again, these are the sorts of things that can actually play to your advantage in a race strategy, coming across 2 compulsory pit stops, as well as actually taking advantage, as I mentioned, of that strategy play. And you never know where the provisional lead could be just because of those differing strategies across the whole field and the fact that it's not done until that second pit stop is finished.
The other advantage you sort of get, which only lasts for a couple of laps, is the later fresh tyres. So you don't get it for that long. So it's really trying to work out how you can maximise that new tyre advantage. Like there's no point coming out with 2 laps to go because you've just wasted it. So it's about trying to... So even if you are like on a racetrack where you could take the full 110 and get home, maybe you're better off only taking 100 or 95, so you can work out how many laps you want to do on that last tyre set. So I think, but fuel works out, right? So everyone has the same fuel sort of running towards the end. So you don't get a fuel advantage at the end, but you can definitely get a tyre advantage as well. But you're right, it does hurt early on when you're running a bit heavier. But Jamie's setups, they tend to run not that much slower when they're full of fuel, at least the last couple of rounds. So it's definitely been an option to go for.
And we're saying Slater's gone in, so he's one of the first ones to do that second stop.
Yeah, I think his hand was kind of forced there after just crisping up those rear tyres. So be interesting though to see where this can play out in terms of strategy now as we come up towards the second pit stops. I doubt we're going to see any later than lap 54. So these next sort of 12 or 13 laps are going to be very interesting to see where people come out and how the traffic affects them as well.
Yeah, traffic was very respectful, at least through my race. Everyone was just, not stupidly jumping out of the way, as I wouldn't expect them to, but there was definitely, I didn't feel held up at all throughout the whole night. And I think having the oval was good. At one point, Neil even gave me a nice toe into the oval as I was lapping him, so I appreciate that, Neil.
We've got Mr. Shepherd in the green room as well, so if you want me to drag him in,
Yeah, drag him in.
do.
Yeah, bring in Shepo.
Mr. Consistency.
Oh no, I can't drag him into this one, John. You'll have to do it. I don't have the ability to drag him into this channel.
Yeah, I got him.
There he is.
There we go.
How are you,
Hello, Mr.
Shepo?
Consistency.
Not too bad. Everyone good?
Good.
Yep.
Sitting nicely in third at this stage, mate.
Bloody good race. I didn't realise it was going at 8:30, so I'm a bit late. Sorry.
You're right. Just thought I'd start that half hour early, being a Monday night. I figured everyone...
Yeah. Good weekend, mate.
It was.
Catching up with everyone.
It was. Caught up with a couple of boys. Caught up with Luke as well. Managed to talk a bit of business, get a few things sorted for season 18. Caught up with Mr.
Yeah.
McKnight. And
Oh yeah, it'd be a bit of a laugh, I reckon.
Yeah. Got to see one of his toys, the RX4.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive what he's done with that.
It's always good when you can turn an online community into a physical catch-up.
And a gastronomical one as well. We went to Chubby Buns.
Yeah, right. I've never.
Wayne, is that you saying that you're going to come over to Victoria to hang out with the rest of our team?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll travel over, mate.
Victorian trip is on the or a Melbourne trip is on the cards at some stage in the near future. So try and get a few of the Melbourne boys together for a beer.
So assuming I don't get delayed, I will be able to go down and back on Thursday and still make the race.
Oh, let's hope you can do it. Big lock up there from Andrew. I mean, we know that you're looking forward to this race, Bruce. So surely you're going to try everything in your power to make it happen.
It should do. I think I love Jerez. I managed to get pole there last season. I'm definitely not expecting to do that this season. And that's my one claim of fame, that I've actually out-qualified Troy Stone Street at one point in my career.
And of course,
like where the established drivers go. I beat Ayrton Senna when he was 4.
And of course, the Scops boys had raced there last night, and they put on a pretty good show. So it is a good track for racing, particularly with the moto layout.
So much better. You get to flick the car through there almost flat out. It's great fun.
And like Scotty Gamble finishing P6 in race 2, and Dave Kirby in there waving the flags for the Vets boys as well.
Speaking of great fun, there's Pato making a move on the inside of AJ. So it's almost becoming uncharacteristic for Andrew to make a mistake like that now. He's definitely so much cleaner and faster than he was, and much more consistent.
A few boys going for the second.
No matter who you are, just because you don't, no matter who you are, I think everyone can still make their same old mistakes. It just happens sometimes, no matter how consistent you are.
I can tell you by track by corner what mistakes I make, to be honest. So at what's it called? There's 2 corners at Road Atlanta that I'll make corners. The one up the hill turning left as you go up the S's. That one there, a bit wide there. I can spin it and chuck it in the wall. All the exit onto the back straight in the V8, a bit too hot. And I can tell you those mistakes. Yeah.
I only make one, Hamish. Turn up.
So Wayne, you're currently running at P1 at this point. What's going through your mind strategy-wise? So we're on lap 44. So
yeah, exactly what I was thinking here. I was worrying about fuel because I took a fairly big load at the first pit, and the other boys jumped me. Brendan jumped me, and I thought, I need to make some time up. So sitting at position 1, I was trying to do as quick a time as I could, but yeah, it was a bit of a mix of trying to save the tyres too, because that turn 1, if you tried to do turn 1 too hard, you'd risk damaging the tyres. So I was trying to save the car a bit.
So you've just, as we were talking about that, you just dived in.
Yeah. I think I didn't go too well after this pit stop. Yeah.
This appears to be an even longer stop than the first one. Still slightly faster though than Zatira's. You've done well to stay ahead of him here out of the pit stop.
Yeah. He must have just taken a bit of a splash on the first one, I reckon, because he gained 8 seconds on me.
That's the invisible V8, that old trick.
Here we are. We had one of those in Split 2 as well. Fortunately, Mark Poynton's internet connection was struggling around here. He unfortunately got the better of him, but sometimes this happens when we're racing online and not in real life. I'd be worried if it was happening in real life. That'd be some paranormal stuff happening if that was occurring. But
so I see Andrew Johnson's in the pits. Morning, Andrew. Happy you're into your cup of coffee at this stage.
Happy work day. Poor bugger.
Oh well, beggars can't be choosers.
Here we go. It's going to be, to be honest.
Oh, he'd be back home now in the evening having a Steinlager or 2.
So sorry, Wayne, you were saying this track wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I was expecting it to be a right pain in the crack because I was having heaps of trouble with bias selections through the week and just couldn't seem to get the car to last any longer than about 10 laps before it wanted to fall apart for grip. So I had a bit more of a play on Thursday night and settled it down a bit.
I think it all depends when you join the sessions. It makes it interesting because I'll jump on after this and I'll hang out with the Perth boys that always get on quite late. We'll go to about 1 o'clock until the session shuts down, Sydney time. And the track then is always super grippy and really rub it in, as opposed to when you sort of hop in early. So we noticed that the times drop off for us because we'll set times and then speaking of dropping off, that's the lap car getting out of the way. No, it wasn't. No, yeah, it was. It was Carl Pickering jumping out of the way.
Yeah, most of the folks are really good with the blue flag.
So Andrew Gallis jumped in, moving Ed Fox back up to P5.
His hand just the night. He was spot on. And Brendan.
So I'm not sure what happened to Jason, but at this point he's dropped down to 14th. I think at this point it's just the pit stop. Yeah, because Jason and I were pretty close for most of the night. I sort of lost track of where he went.
He missed that little incident with Jamie. That was before he pitted, I think, second time. Then you have a little turnaround with Jamie Peters.
We saw it when they both when he went off track, and I'm not sure if he had another incident. Speaking of Jamie, Jamie's just jumping in the pit lane right now.
Yeah, so this will be the determining factor whether Jamie's actually jumps anyone in that pit stop. I think I believe he did a slightly shorter stop first time round, if I'm not mistaken. So it could very well be though, but we'll wait and see what happens off this pit stop now and where he comes out.
Someone got a delay going in the background.
Yeah, it's Mark.
I noticed Brendan in my rear vision mirror each time he came out of that hairpin onto the oval, he'd have a bit of drift, and I could see the steering change on the car. He must have been giving those back tyres merry hell.
So Ed's just given us an update in the chat. At this point in the race, this is where his shifter failed, and he had to learn to use the sequential from paddles during the race.
How much damage did he end up doing to his shifter? He said he just about ripped it out.
He did rip it out. Not just about.
Is it destroyed or what?
Yeah, I suppose you could technically weld the aluminium back together, but it'd be cheaper just.
Yeah. No, I'm just wondering if he wants to send it down or fix it for him.
I suppose he's a keen man to do that. For me, I would park the car versus destroying my gear.
Yeah.
But just shows the lure of a vet's win. How
That's
important it is to some people.
It's a commitment for you.
Yep.
Well, he's probably worried because he's got Sheppo 2 seconds behind him, and he wouldn't want to be given anything to him because we know that you, Wayne, you can take advantage of any mistake that someone makes, and you are becoming kind of the unofficial champion at this point. Of course, Wayne's nickname in our Discord is First Place Cobber, given to him after he got his first win this season, but he's done well to keep that moniker going for the majority of this season as well.
Yeah, I can't match his pace though. Like just goes to show, he's tearing around with a broken shifter, and I still can't catch him. I was able to maintain his pace, but normally he gets away pretty easy.
Yeah, but it's fastest average lap that wins races, not fastest lap overall. That's what matters.
Yeah, he does well, man. I'd be surprised if he doesn't slip straight through like Stone Street does to split one.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure Ed was in split 2 last season, or at least a couple of seasons ago. I'm pretty sure. Troy that was a completely other story. But the reason why he would have gone up to split 1.
Well, I think Troy really showed his hand when he qualified on pole for Winton. That was on it would have been second row of split 1. That was when a few people went, okay, there's a lot of potential here. And he's shown that in split 1, right? He showed that, yes, the potential was there and it was the right call. He hasn't gone up and struggled down the back. He's gone straight to the point in a split 1. So if he'd gone to split 2, he would have just dominated that again. So I think having him go to right point, definitely the right call made by the committee. He may disagree, of course, but...
There's Bush and Stoyles in.
Oh, what a shame.
Oh, that means you're going to come back round for although you've already got the extra point for leading a lap, Bruce, but...
Yeah. I definitely wasn't going to get any more points, that's for sure.
No. Well, unless Ed made a massive mistake and crashed the car, but... Unlikely.
So he's 17 seconds behind. I've still got the stop to do, so it's definitely Ed's race to lose at this point. That's okay, right? Because you sort of know where you're racing, and so I sort of knew I was racing around, P6, P7. That was where I was sort of, I mean, for me, it's any top 10 finish is a bonus. Well, top 10 in split 3, any top 50% split, or as Ed Cullen loves to say, if he finishes P20 or above, he's won, as far as he's concerned in split 2. So we always set our goals where they are.
I think as well, if you do have a spotter and say you know that you're kind of out of sync in terms of where you are on track compared to where you'll be after the pit stop, depending on what information you want to be given, you can ask them, or how much pace do I need to be putting into the car to kind of get the advantage over those boys in those positions, so you know that you're going to come out either ahead or behind of them when you do come out of the pits as well.
So, Hamish, you're right there. If he had the ability to just turn on the tap and get another 5 seconds out of the car, which I don't. So, but you're bang on though. I think that's the difference between push laps versus, pace laps.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I definitely can push more out of the car, but I think one thing I've sort of come to learn is if I start to, I generally overdrive, and so I'm working really hard to sort of rein that in. And I think so. One of the things I'm doing, which is going to sound bizarre when I say it, but at some points on some tracks, I'm actually taking both feet off the pedals and just coasting it through, and then coming back on as a way to force myself to reprogram to stop overdriving. And it can work. It's obviously not the fastest way around to do that, but it's definitely faster than going in too hard and too hot, and then trying to get on the power and then having to get out of the throttle again. All part of the learning process.
You can do it, mate, because I can't. If I get excited, I think something happens, and you just keep throwing, and then realise it's too late, and you've cooked the tyres, and it's all over.
Yeah, I definitely play the long game, which is why I sort of think weather I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll definitely suit my more conservative style. I think. So not that we'll see the V8 for another 4 years, but it'll definitely be interesting, I think.
I think depending on when rain comes out, if it comes out before Gen 3 comes out, it may come out when it may, because obviously it's going to be car by car pretty much. Then we may just see it come out as a part of Supercars once Gen 3 is introduced onto the platform.
So I think, enough looking at me up front, John, I think round P14, 15 looks like there's a cracker battle going on between Mick Clifton and...
Sorry, Bruce. I was just laughing at something at the Bangladesh... Sri Lanka-Bangladesh cricket match. Angelo Matthews has just been timed out.
Don't get me wrong, I don't mind giving the sponsors the edge. I think there's much more interesting things going on in the broadcast.
Yes, definitely does.
Do you really think rain will come car by car, or will you reckon it'll come track by track?
No, they've already said it's coming car by car.
Yeah.
So all the tracks will be enabled from the outset. All the road cert tracks will be enabled from the outset.
Yeah.
And I assume that includes some Rovals like Daytona. The cars they're going to come out with first will be the one make, I think, fixed setup series. So Ferrari fixed to the Ferrari 263. The Formula 1600 and the Toyota GR86 are all in the sort of the first cars that will come out. I think you'll see the rest of the GT3s and IMSA follow very quickly with, I think, a plan of having a weather-affected Daytona 24-hour and bring it on.
Yeah, and the reason that they're doing it car by car is, number one, they can focus, because every car at the moment has got a different handling and tyre model than every other car on the platform. So the reason that they don't want to just release rain for every single car at once is because it'll just be a general tyre model, and it will not be as realistic as it can be when it is catered for every different type of car on the platform and every different type of track on the platform as well. So that's kind of their thought process of doing it car by car, and eventually it'll get to the point where every single new car will be developed and released being able to race rain. But that'll be dependent on if the rest of the cars in its class also have it as well. So say if we get the new Audi GT3 that they're developing and they haven't done all the GT3s yet for rain, then we may see a one-make series for that car up until the point that they do the rest of the GT3 cars for rain.
Yeah, I think the other thing you'll see is like with the new damage model, where most cars support both new and old damage model if they have new damage model. V8s definitely don't. And then what happens is if they want to run a car and you run one car that has old damage model, all the other cars revert back to the old damage model. And so I think you'll see the same with rain, right? If all the cars are enabled for rain, then rain will be an option. But if one of the cars isn't, then none of the cars will be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I definitely can't see the Gen 3 out until the end of next year at the earliest, to be honest. That's my gut feeling with it all. Rain, yeah, I think we may or may not see it in the first car next season.
Well, me and Bruce spoke about it on Saturday night on the podcast that Gen 3, we could very easily see Gen 3 at the start of Season 3 next year because I think, didn't we say they were finalising the scanning process now, or they've just
It all depends where the scanning is. I think the bet that I will take, it will be the start of before Season 3 next year, so the Bathurst 1000 will be in Gen 3.
Yeah.
I think that's a fairly safe bet because it'll be super embarrassing for them to not have it 2 years in a row. But ultimately, it comes down to iRacing is super keen. It comes down to how keen are supercars to lean in.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose the other big thing we're going to see both cars over there later this year for the wind tunnel testing. So yeah, answer your question. Yeah, Scotty, I think they were pretty embarrassed this year. They didn't have an E series, and the dysfunctionality of supercar, I'd be very surprised if they even get an E series off the ground next year. So, they were telling everybody they'd have the Gen 3 for the E series this year. So
I think what I find surprising is that supercars haven't followed. I know we talked about this on Saturday, John, but supercars haven't followed the model that they've done with Formula One, where all the Formula One teams have an E team. They grab all the kids and they have their own, Williams Esports or whatever, and they have those esports teams across not just supercars but other
platforms,
platforms as well. So Triple Eight Racing could have an esports team and be competing alongside Redline and Williams on the world stage on other iRacing events. And I'm surprised that they don't actually go down that route. But
and when you consider we've got some serious talent in this country, you take in Dane Warren, Josh Rogers, Jordan Caruso. We've got some genuine talent. And that's before you even start bringing up names like Phil Sell and Madison Down. There's some real genuine talent in this country.
Yeah, I saw a stream on the weekend, and I just jumped into the lobby with a streamer, and there were 3 guys from Brisbane, and they're like 9K, 8K, and 7K. These are just guys I've never even heard of. So you're right. There's a lot of talent in Australia.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if Red Bull were to have an esports team in Australia, they would just monopolise it and make sure that they sign James Scott, Jared Philsell, and Madison Down, and anyone who is basically the biggest names they will try and get into their team.
Yeah. Feels like a no-brainer to me because the outlay is virtually nothing. From a, it just seems a bit silly they're not doing it.
And in saying that, we may even see some of the real-world drivers be a part of the esports team. So, like, Kostecki may race with Erebus, and I'm trying to think about. So, like, Heimgartner might do it with BJR and stuff like that if they were to have an esports team.
Well, SVG would definitely be part of the esports team.
But say SVG's he's racing the Pro Series as a co-driver. In fact, there's even rumours going around that there is another new top-end team coming into the Australian V8 scene next season, which does consist of some of those big names you've just mentioned.
So here we are, 10, 12 laps to go? About 13 laps to go. I've done my stop. Mike's coming in for his. He's managed to get P7 before that. So this is all of a sudden, I'm like, where did Adrian come from? So Adrian was just chipping away. So he started, something I noticed in my mirror. Adrian's been having a good run and getting faster and faster. So we're sort of starting to slot in. And Wayne, you're 1.5 seconds behind Mr. Fox. What's going through your mind? Trying to just get the job done, or are you just sort of just trying to save it to the end at this point?
A bit of thought that I might, close the gap. I started to catch him a little bit, and then he'd go away again, and I'd catch him a bit more. So yeah, it wasn't out of the question, but I wondered why he was going slow, and because normally
at the time.
I didn't know about the shifter, so if I had known, I might have tried a little bit harder. But my main concern was Brennan behind me, because he drives so well, and he normally doesn't make too many mistakes, and he made one in this race, but yeah, I only managed to get him on a fuel strategy rather than outdo him. So yeah, he was my concern.
I think what you're doing at the moment, though, Shep, is you're driving smart, which is all I could ever ask of you, of course, of like, you're not pushing too hard to try and close that gap ahead. You're trying to consolidate that P2 and just be consistent, which you've done all season, which is really, really good to see.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that if I pushed hard to get to Ed, I wouldn't have anything left in me to get past him. I'd cook the tyres. But you can always, you just got to hang in there, I suppose. And
well, I think in future, when you're ahead of me, you should definitely apply that strategy. Push hard, as hard as you can. Mistakes be damned. Burn through your tyres. That's definitely the way. Do it.
He's on Marty Hughes, 25 positions down in P14 at the moment. He's done well to make up so many spots, as well as Michael Yeo, 18 positions gained up to P15. So some big movers up the field. Those blokes just following in behind Korolev, 13 positions gained as well. So who's the biggest drop off this race, John, in terms of positions?
Pete Kelleher down 26.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Slater's down 18, so they're both 34 and 35 respectively. Visor's down 12 in 26th. There's some big losses.
I think that can just come down to simple mistakes, and make sure to learn from those mistakes and come back stronger the next week, of course, as well. It's easier to learn from a mistake than to learn from a positive, because mistakes force you to self-reflect and self-evaluate what you might have done wrong and what you could have done better.
I really
thought about it.
Keller there, he just had a little bit of a moment coming out of the hairpin. I remember back early in the race, and that's what hit him so hard, didn't it?
Mm.
Poor bugger.
And of course, a little bit of slipstream around this place goes a long way. So if you're running in a group, compared to running by yourself.
Yeah, not as bad
Oh
as...
no, Darren.
Oh, it's bad luck. The wall put him right, I think.
Oh, ouch.
That's gotta hurt.
I think he was having an alright run until then.
Yeah, he's doing relatively well.
So I came out just behind Jamie. I was trying to put the new tyres to work here. You can sort of see I've got like 7 laps younger tyres. So I'm trying to use that advantage whilst I've got it. Put him under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, he's made it. I don't think you hear much from Jamie on the mic in the race. We have a chat after the race. He's a bit like me. He can't talk and drive at the same time. He gets really concerned if he's upset anybody's race, which is a nice attitude to have.
Yeah,
So, did you get any comments about when Adrian Zeal had his lovely head on his bonnet?
No, doesn't really come up. Hamish might have talked to him about it. I haven't.
Nah, I did mention before though, Sheppo, that we did tell him to get a flag to put up whenever he beats Adrian out in his front yard, just to kind of, make fun.
They live close by, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they live in the same street, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I heard that they had a very big celebration at the end of last season, and a certain Mr. Feed has struggled to walk home
Well, he wouldn't have had very far to go.
with his
so
with his
that-
with
that's
his with his
one positive.
with his beautiful calf muscles.
So this is that classic situation, just changing the subject completely. This is that classic situation you were talking about, Hamish, whereas if I could go mode push, I would, but yeah, Jamie just definitely he was able to hang on here, and he's just not giving me a sniff.
Yeah, I think not even necessarily because it's Jamie, but just in this scenario, the car in front normally has the advantage towards that later half in the race. You know, you'd think, well, the car in behind might have somewhat of an advantage because they can see where the car in front's making mistakes, but the car in front can actually force you to push harder and then kind of, you know, get that dig in the tyres if they're out. If they know where to defend and they know where to place the car, then that has got much more of an advantage than being able to push from behind and getting a slipstream, because if you've got no way to get around them, it doesn't matter how much slipstream or how much pace you've got coming up onto the back of them. It's because they're able to stay in front. So, you know, it's an occurrence that can happen in racing anywhere. And as I said, if you know how to defend, you've got a massive advantage over the car behind in a later stage of a race, because you don't have to last as long as you would halfway through or at the start of a race as well.
So speaking of defending, is Matt Stoyles trying to push his way forward?
Without wing again. That's a fairly regular occurrence for him.
It's a lot
Yeah.
of drag. The car's a bit faster.
It appears he's taken the memo of racing with a V8 Ute instead of a supercar, but
That's holding grooves, doesn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Not even a real car. He does
So
look bad.
what's going on down the back, John? So you're in P19. Where's the likes of Mr. Baldock running?
Mr. Baldock down in P30. He had a shocker.
So the tally's going to go to you this week, John, is it?
It's already been decided for this season.
Oh, well then. So how does Baldock
Hey,
feel
Baldock
knowing that
wins.
you've done better than him in a Mustang so far?
Yeah, apparently the LPG that I'm putting in mine's not the same as what you get in South Australia.
Oh, so he's running E10, you're running E83 or whatever it is.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I don't think they can count to 83 in South Australia.
Yeah. Oh, they can if they count in churches or pubs.
They just can't count in points.
Look, Dave does it tough. He works hard where he works, and he's got a lot going on, and he also does a fair bit of volunteering work, helping out with the floats for the Christmas parade in South Australia. They say another one of the Split 3 boys, very time poor. It's not uncommon for him to be on someone's ring like his father in the middle of a race. So poor old Dave. He's your quintessential Aussie battler on and off the track.
I say as well, Stephen Murray's not happy about our South Australian comments in the chat, as he is a South Australian resident.
It's all right,
Careful,
Steve.
Stephanie,
You know we love Baldock. And Joe Dirge. We'll see how Josh Drage putting the big surprise one on for the weekend. Making a unannounced guest appearance.
I saw he wasn't in race control last Thursday night. I was a little bit worried without him in there, but the boys managed to survive without him this week, so they did a good job.
Yeah, no, he was inbound to Sydney.
Ah, okay. Just confirm Stephen was born in New South Wales, so he's actually not mad about the SA comments.
Come on, Wayne, it's only a second. You can do it.
You're getting closer.
Send it, mate.
Ryan.
He's within slipstream range now, as well, below that 1.5 seconds.
I
It's
know what your
interesting.
problem is. It's WD-40. It's too slippery.
It's interesting actually how little effect the slipstream can actually have around this track in particular. And I think it actually comes down to the fact, so if you compare this track to Daytona, for example, and how much of an effect the slipstream can have. So if you think about the area from coming out of the infield here to the first corner, for some reason, I don't think the car actually gets as good of a run as it does at Daytona, for example, when it comes out onto the bowl and into the bus stop chicane. I'm not 100% sure why. Maybe because of the angle of the corner. But like Rovals like Daytona and Charlotte, for some reason, have just got a better advantage in the slipstream than what a track like Indianapolis or Homestead have as well.
I think part of the thing, Hamish, is the banking. So the banking at Daytona, I think it's like 60-degree banking.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. If you ever want to check it out, jump on the gyro, which actually stays level, and you watch the car rotate up on the wall and come back down again. So that means you're just basically staying dead flat the whole way around. Here you had to sort of lift. If you weren't like on a hot lap, you had to sort of lift around there, which I think, or push into understeer, which definitely the actual aero effects around the corner, I think, played a bigger role here. And also I think the straight's a lot shorter too, the overall run, the overall size of the
Yeah, I think as well, because this isn't a tri-oval, it's still a quad oval, like Indy is, where Charlotte and Daytona are tri-ovals, so I think you can just get a better run off those straights and off those corners as well.
Yeah, the tri-oval at Daytona's still got fairly hefty steep bank, which is pretty well much to be about the same steepness as what you've got around here. You know, if you really want to see the banked angles, go to Talladega.
Well, if you really want to see bank angles, go to iRacing Super Speedway.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I just I have that track for doing like top speed testing, and Jesus, that thing is just ridiculous.
What about a full Monza race? You know, throw both in. Throw the road circuit in plus the big bank section. Imagine that.
Well, funny enough, when we did look at going to Monza this season, that was the joke at the time with the boys in the committee. Do we do the combined? You know, and then it was just thought it just might be a little bit too gimmicky for doing an actual official racing.
I think the problem is that the oval is just it's too bumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had some fun events with the Dallara, the free Dallara, whatever it is, the legacy Dallara, and it's just I think Dallara Dash is there occasionally, and it's always just carnage, to be honest. It's a shame though. It'd be interesting if they did the rallycross crack, which actually they race rallycross there in real life, up and down embankment, and it'd be interesting if they made that an option. But I think my real disappointment that I have is they did the legacy track with Monza, but they didn't do it for Hockenheim. Even if they couldn't scan it, it would have been nice to
They
put
also,
a version of that.
it'd be nice if they also did like Red Bull Ring as well, like the old A1 ring.
Yep.
Or even old Spa would be interesting, but that'd be really hard to do.
Yeah, that would be. Just get the Grand Prix Legends track kits out and just do it. The other one would be doing the extended as designed version of Lime Rock, which actually doesn't exist, but it was designed to go turn one, keep going straight, and actually go up the hill and into the bush up the hill and then come back down again.
Race nearly done.
Just about.
We are. Two left to go.
A little battle back here between Marshy and Lucas Bird.
I think this man blows. Changed his name.
I'm very surprised there was actually no safety car for Split 3 this week. Around this track, the boys did well not to cop that.
I'm not, because Split 3 is the premier split, Hamish.
Not true.
Tell me where you get your information from.
I don't know. I just wanted to have a drive. Come on. Jesus.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Mark.
I'm
Well, you
thinking
can,
about
Mark.
Mark.
You can have a drive in about 3 weeks' time. You can hop into a supercar and have a drive.
Yep.
About that.
You don't have to worry about people punning you anymore because you're not the safety car when you're practicing.
Well, speak for yourself.
Exactly.
I think you have to worry more.
Yeah, I do actually.
Ooh, Chinny having a look here.
With people like me behind you, it's on.
Yeah, I think I've been nailed by a certain broadcaster too at Bathurst.
Yeah. That was perfect that day.
Yeah, no, good. I know.
Hard but fair.
Nah, good to put him up to it.
Yeah. Gunther goes, you have hit everything else. You should hit the pace car. Like, okay.
What is it? First tap's a warning, second tap's a DSQ. Is that how it goes? Safety car.
Chasing Jamie all the way up that straight. He never made much ground. The draft just wasn't really doing much.
No. Brendan's still keeping you honest.
Coming now.
Brendan's still keeping you honest, though, Sheppy.
Yes. Yeah, he was the whole race. Plenty of pressure. Yeah, we've had a little chat after Laguna Seca. I had to send him an apology for that lap 1 incident just before the corkscrew, and it was all good. Bit of a brain fade on my part.
So this just really shows you how quality the top of the performance at the top of Split 3 is. So you got Ed, yourself, Wayne, and Brendan. You guys within like 3 seconds, so a second between you basically. Then you got 13 seconds back to Jeremy, then a smaller gap, and then another 20 seconds back to me. So you guys are obviously just in a bit of a league of your own at the moment, just with the consistency and the pace. So definitely congrats. Assuming you finish this way on podium well earned.
Yeah, cheers, Bruce. Yeah, they're good blokes to race with. It's and normally you'd see, oh yeah, Jeremy Bush, yeah, Jeremy Bush and Matt Stiles, all hanging around the same space, and Mike Yeo, but he just had a bit of bad luck, poor bugger. System failure, or connection failure, I think.
So I get a bit annoyed when Mike's faster than
Mr. Button.
First season back in, but then I sort of realised it's not his first season, and he also races karts in real life, so I'm not too upset about that.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
Good fun. I used to race them and broke a few bones. Break less bones in this sim racing.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, but when you do something wrong, though, it doesn't hurt. That's the only problem with sim racing. Compared to karting.
Yeah.
You know,
It's cheaper to repair the car.
Yeah, that's right. Big congratulations to Ed in pole, Sheppy in second, Brendan Zatera in third for player one, Bushy in fourth, Matt Stoyles, Bruce Home in sixth, Adrian Zeal with a solid seventh, Jason Chin with a swimming eighth, Jamie Peters in ninth, Andrew Galley rounds out the top 10. So great performance by all. Ed's not in with us, so I'll hand it over to you to give a few shout-outs, Sheppy.
Oh yeah, cheers, mate. Yeah, definitely. Big thanks to the Infinity Motorsport guys and Hamish and the boys, and Simrigs, of course, for sponsorship. And Brendan Zatira and Ed Fox. We had a great race with them on Thursday night. Really enjoyed it. And as always, the vet lads, thanks very much. Jamie with his whiz-bang setups, they always seem to deliver. And the race control boys, you know, they make it a top race. And yourself, John, for putting on the second show with these broadcasts. They're bloody good. Really enjoy them. They add that next level to the to the enjoyment of the V8 vets. So thanks a lot.
Too easy. And of course, next week, it was tipped off before, we're heading to do the moto circuit at Jerez. Any thoughts on that, lads?
Love it.
It
is a good track.
Fantastic.
I think it'll, with our big fields of 30 plus cars, I think it'll produce some very good racing again. Very fast flowing track, couple of good opportunities to pass, some interesting pit entry. It'll keep everybody honest. Look at that guy doing that on the oval back there. It'll
actually, you're right. Pit entry is going to be really interesting because it's a lot faster through the corner before pit entry this time around.
Mm-hmm. I predict at least one safety car in every single split next week. I think especially with what happened last time at Jerez, across all splits, I think you could almost bank on getting one at that track, just because of there are so many spots where people can go for moves, but if they get it wrong, then they're going to end up in the wall. And I think we're going to see some of that action occurring over the 3 broadcasts this coming weekend.
Well, I'll definitely be here on Friday night for everyone at this stage. May or may not. I may have something else come up. But try and be here next Friday night. We'll go through it all again. And everyone replay it. Don't forget, of course, Split 1 on Thursday night being broadcasted by SimSpeed TV. And then Split 2 and 3 covered by Hamish and myself. Hamish doing Sunday nights, myself on the Friday nights. And if you haven't liked and subscribed the V8 Vets YouTube channel, please do so. I'm trying to get the numbers up a bit. I think we've only just clicked over 300 subscribers last night, which is fantastic. And yeah, just definitely make sure you keep an eye out for the Red J for for season 18, which is coming up very shortly. And on that note, a huge thanks to the admin and the committee boys. Big thank you to our race control teams across all the splits. Huge thank you, of course, to all of our broadcasters. But most of all, huge thank you to everyone out in the chat who always jumps on, watches, contributes, gets involved. And, of course, a huge thank you to the drivers across all the splits, because without you guys driving such a high standard and putting on a show like we do, we wouldn't have a broadcast to broadcast. So on that note, we will say good night and see everybody again next time. Thanks for coming.
Yep. See you, boys. Thank you.
See ya.
So.